to modify our data. Okay, got it. Yeah, we only want to allow the user himself to modify their own blocks. So that's what we're gonna do today. Before we start to code something, I'd like to introduce some concepts regarding to the backend. Maybe you already heard about them, but I'm gonna have a quick review of them. And the first one is databases. Yeah, it's really familiar concept for you, I guess. And the most familiar databases for you could be MySQL, I guess, and also the PostgreSQL, what we're gonna use today. They are all belong to a type of databases, which is called relational databases. And for these databases, what we have is predefined scheme of the data structure. You can see the example here. Like for ratings, we have rating, which is a number, apparently. And for users, we have first name, last name, email. And for each type of data, we have predefined structure. And like for each connection between these different data, we have generally 3 types of relationships, which are one-to-many relationship, many-to-one relationship, and many-to-many relationship. Also, there are one special type called one-to-one relationship, but actually we don't use them that much. And here we have example. For each user instance, we could have a lot of ratings instance, which means a user can create a lot of ratings for different movies. And this kind of relationship is one-to-many, or for this side, it could be say many-to-one. And in this case, we call the user is a foreign key of the rating. And yeah, it's a really simple example to illustrate the foreign key relationship. Could be also the many-to-one relationship. And we have another type of databases introduced here, which is called non-sacral databases. In this kind of databases, we won't have like really structured data, as we said before. And we're gonna have some random data in any types. It could be a string, it could be a num, it could be a binary data. And the most popular one is called MongoDB. Yeah, you can check it out if you're interested. And even for non-SQL data, we have 4 different types for the storage way. Document, key value, white column, and graph. We will have examples for the first 2, the document store and the key value store. And for the other 2 store ways, yeah, you can maybe search a document if you're interested with them. Okay, and here we have the examples of document store. It's really literal, like you store the data in a plain document, but document is in a JSON format or in a XML format. You can say in the 2 code blocks, they store exactly the same information of the same person, his first name, his address, and his hobby, but in different types of documents. Can you recognize the type? Yeah, the JSON type and the XML type. And XML is quite similar to HTML, which is used in the web page. Yeah, and that's it. And the second type we want to mention is the key value type. If you guys ever try to program with Python, you're gonna feel it's quite similar to the dictionary type in Python. You're gonna have a key, and for each key, you map the key to a value. And yeah, it's really straightforward. And it's really easy to use if you want to store some unstructured thing or some simple structure. For example, the JSON token, if you want to store them in database, you can use non-SQL database. But yeah, it's really free to use it. And that's what we want to introduce for the databases. Okay, then it comes to authorizations. I don't know if you ever encountered this problem before, because if your app is not authorized by some specific method, it's really insecure, because it means like you allowed anyone to modify the data of your application. It's quite dangerous, because if you're a hacker and you can delete all the data of the app and the web page gonna corrupt, it's really bad. So here we list three kind of basic authorization methods used today. And the first one is, as the name said, it's basic authentication. It directly encodes the username or ID and the password, encode the total string in some header information, so that when you request a page using this header, and the server can recognize, okay, you're the user instead of a hacker. And the second is called OAuth 2.0. It's personally, it's the most complicated way within the three methods. But if you are looking for some official APIs provided by some big companies, it's better know how it works, because you have to request many times to access the access token, to access a special key, so that you can get the data you want. But it needs additional server called authorization server, so it's not easy to deploy. And today, what we're gonna use is called a JSON Web Token. I like it best because it's quite easy to request a token, and it's stateless, which means you don't need to store the information in the server side. You just code all the information in the token yourself. Then you can use the token to request the data you want. And we have the illustration of the JSON Web Token here. You can see there are only the two requests totally. The first one is just post your username and password to a server, and server gonna return the JSON Web Token. And use the token, you can access all the restricted data. It's quite similar, isn't it? Okay. And for the final concept, the RESTful API is a final concept we're gonna talk about today. Is it's RESTful API. Actually, not all APIs can be regarded as RESTful API. It has to limited by some constraints listed here. It's presented by a person called Roy Fielding several years ago, and I don't want you to actually know each point what is meaning. I just want you have a basic sense of the RESTful API, and for example, the client and server side, which is in our case is a backend and front end side, and stateless, which means we don't need to store any information to provide response to data. It should be, if I access the first block, it should be always the same data. And cacheable, generally it's quite similar meanings. And layered systems, we're gonna see some example later. And we don't need to dive into details of these 6 strings, because we will use a framework or a library that helps us to construct a really nice RESTful API with quite smart codes. We will go through it. And that's it. And next, we're gonna go through example of block to build up a backend of the block application from scratch. And I feel like there are tons of tutorials similar to us online, but I guess it's gonna make you tired to search online. And hopefully this kind of session or workshop can help you to figure things out in a shorter time. Are you ready? Should I start?
Yes.
Yeah. And first, set up the Django project. Do you guys already install the Python and the PostgreSQL in your computer?
No, for me.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, someone already did that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
good.
worked with Django before, so I think I
Okay.
got those.
That's nice. You work with Django.
Yeah, with TOH Armada.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's really good. You're gonna, I guess you're gonna be the best student today.
I can help out.
Yeah. Okay, so we can directly follow the code in the slides. Install the Django first, and it should be quickly because I should have the cache data. Okay, let's wait it for 2 seconds. 1, 2, nice, succeed. And now we're gonna start a project block. You guys can follow me, or you can directly check the codes in repository. Well, I'll continue. And to create a project, you will use a binary tool called Django admin. So project and followed by your name of application. What we call here is my block. And enter the directory. And now let's have a look at the structure of the folder. In the folder, we have the folder with the same name of our applications. And in this folder, we have all the like elementary information or elementary settings of the applications. You can set a tons of data. We have it here. We can directly open it in VS Code. You can set the middleware you will use. You can set a template because Django actually can used as a front end as well, but we want to use it in that way. And also you can set a database. You can set the languages. All the settings should put into this file. And we are done with the first step. Okay, next, we're gonna configure the PostgreSQL. I don't know if you ever used the PostgreSQL before, and I don't know in which way you install PostgreSQL, but here we're gonna assume that you install in Docker because Docker is really good tool to create some virtual environment. And if you don't want to use it, you can directly stop it. If you want to use it anymore, you can directly destroy the Docker containers. It could be the instance. And here, since I already have the PostgreSQL run here, but I also want to create a new database because yesterday I really created one. So I don't want to have some confliction with the databases. And enter the command line. Okay, I need to change the user. And enter the interactive terminal with PostgreSQL and use a command called create database and followed by your name of the database. What's the name I should use? My block 2, because I already have a database called my block. And that's it. And then we're gonna configure the PostgreSQL in our Django application. To configure it, we have to install a dependency called PostgreSQL blah, blah, binary. Why it follows by binary? Because we don't want it's dependent on some runtime software in our computer. We don't need to install the PostgreSQL in physical machine. So we use a binary version. Pip install it, that's it. And we'll configure the database to find in the setting file. I hope you can find it. It's here. If you can't find it, directly search it. replace it. It should be in a nice format. Good. And what we're gonna do is then migrate the data to the database, because by default, we already have some scheme for the account, for the group. So if we run the migrate command right now, we can migrate the scheme or the databases table to the database. Then we will have some basic table we can use to create users. But I remember something is here. Yeah, it's a different name of the database. Okay, copy the command. Oh, some errors. Oh yeah, I shouldn't directly copy it. Nice, nice. It looks good. Yeah. Okay, and now we can create a super user for us to access the admin page. It's really nice tool. Here I'm gonna just rename it admin. Okay, it should work. We already finished the first step. And before we continue, we can check it out to see if it works. To run the Django application, type in this command, run server at this location, 8000 port. Okay, private server, access it. I shouldn't. Here we go. Yeah, it works right now. And let's see if the admin page works as well. Admin. Looks nice. We already have the two basic tables in the databases and registered in the admin page. And yeah, I don't know if anyone follow me or you just see my coding process. If any of you is following me and you are struggled with some details, you can ask questions. Otherwise, I'm gonna move on. Okay, everyone's good. Nice. And the next step, what we're gonna do is to define the model of our block, which could be some essential step for us because the application when the make is actually a block site. So to start the app called blocks, I feel like the definition here, a called app, is a bit confusing. We can regard it as some modules in the applications. And for each modules, it could be blocks. If we have some reviews, it could be called reviews. So once we see them as modules, it's quite easier to understand it, hopefully. And to copy the command, okay, first stop the app. We can see the structure. We have a new directory here. And in the directory, we can code inside it to define our block model, and we can code inside it to define our corresponding APIs, how will they be designed. And we can also register our model to the admin side in the admin file. It's really straightforward. And key step, like never forget to do, is to add the app or add the models in the setting files. Try to copy the names of model and find the installed app in the settings. Here we go. Nice. Then it should work. What we're supposed to do next is to define the block model. It's nice. Directly copy it. Then we're gonna have a quick introduction of what the code mean. Okay. Maybe I need to import some module called settings. Let me find my cheating code. So for the blog model, the first property we have is called author. Yeah, we need the author, authorize the blog. And the second property called created at, which means I don't need to explain it, I think. But the property will automatically assigned by the creation time. So you don't need to manage it when you post a blog. And another two is title and content. It's really meaningful. And for these types of these fields, they're like predefined in Django applications. So if you want to refer, if you want to check out a document for more fields, you can check out the document of Django officially. Yeah, I won't show you here. But I hope you guys can infer the meaning of the fields from its names, foreign key, date types, and text fields. That's it. And then, since we define a model, but the model haven't existed in the database, what we will do is to make the migrations manually. It's quite simple. Nice. Make migrations, and in the migrations folder, it will create a script to run some scripts related to a database. And then we're gonna migrate it, actually to run the script in the migration folders. And now we should already have the table in the databases. But to see the data in the databases, we also want to register the blog model in our admin page so that we can access it in a user interface. And to do it, we're going to edit the admin file. Well, for the admin file, it's really simple to write a way just to overwrite. It's not called overwrite. I don't know. It just called a superclass based on the admin model admin. Yeah, here we can just copy it directly the same way. Where is it? Admin file, and then copy it to reformat it a little bit. And that's all the process we should do. It's not that complicated. And try to run the server and to check out the admin page to see if it works. Here we go. We have the blogs modules, or we call it blogs databases list in here. And we can click into here to create some blog manually, to set author, to set a title, nice title, or a long, super long article. Yep, it's super long. It's quite similar to manage your data in your database. So that's why I provide the accounts information so that you can access a demo page. Where is it? Session 2. We have the demo page here, and you can log in. If you haven't followed me to try your self-application, you can access a demo page here and log in with the admin accounts. I already logged in, and try it out in the blog sections. Okay, and so far, any questions? I feel like it's really quick. I don't know if you or succeed to follow me?
Oh, following.
You're not following, right?
We are following.
Okay, no questions? People are smarter these days. Good. And we will continue to next step, and which is another key step. We can create a way to authenticate our users to reply a JSON web token to a user. It takes time to let this think, but keep going. Okay, we will give you enough time in the final, in the final stage, so I can help you to figure out this. And to create a JSON web token in Django applications, there is a quite good library called whatever, it's long name. What we're gonna do first as well is store it. Installation costs time, but it's still quick. And there are some settings to configure it. I didn't copy it in my slides because it's a bit long. We can refer to it to copy the configuration into our setting file. Can we still find it? Because in our configuration right now, there is no variable called REST framework, so we can directly assign it to a new variable and remove the redundant content. The settings means for RESTful applications, we will use a JSON web token as the authentication way. Okay, and anything else? And we're gonna create some URL link for the users. They can request to access their tokens. Yeah, this another types of API, but it's not the API. We will talk it later. It's some APIs to create a JSON web token and copy it into our euro.py. Here we go. And copy it to clean it a bit. Okay. Because we already have the euro patterns, we just remove it. Nice. And you can save the euro link here. And because we already configured it done, we don't need the localization, so we want add it in the installed apps. We're already done, so we can try it out. Let's go. Run server. And for trying out the APIs, we need some API test tools. Generally, I feel like people prefer to use a post tool called Postman. Yeah, maybe you heard about it, but I prefer to use a tool called, this one, Talent API, whatever, tester. And to post the request, change your URL link here to our local URL. Now, what's a URL link? We defined it should be API/token. That's nice. And for the username, because we create a username with both the username and password or admin, we can write it in the same way. But if you want to try some other account, you can click in the admin page and create the own user. For example, I create a user for myself. A long password. A long password. Let's see. Nice. And here, replace it with your own account. a long password to try if it's work. Good. It will return two tokens. The first one is used to refresh your token. We won't use it today. What are we going to use the second one as access token? Copy it, and how we use it is to add the key value pairs in the headers. Started with bear and copy the JSON Web Token following it. And that's the way how we authenticated ourselves so that a server can identify our rower. We are not a hacker, we are a normal user. And yeah, it's already done for the JSON Web Token. Any questions here? Do you try it out using the demo site? You can also try out using a demo site. Username, password. I hope it worked if I remember the password correctly. For the post, we don't need your authorization. Oh, it's not fine. Oh, I should follow by the API URL. Nice, it works. No question? Okay, good. Then let's move on. The next step could be, is it a final step? Yes, it is. But for this step, we have a lot of things to explain, which is our most important step, because we want to build Restful API today. And to build it, we will use a framework. Framework again, for Django, there are a lot of related framework you can use directly to facilitate your development. Install it, first stop it. It's already installed. And add REST framework into your installed apps. Here, I prefer to add it ahead of the blogs app. And what's next? Next, we're gonna create two classes. One is called blog serializer. Another one is called blog view set. For the serializer, it defines the way how you serialize your data in your databases into a JSON format. And it can also define the way how you create data from a JSON to the data installed in your database, and how you update the data, how you handle, how you validate the data. All these related functions are defined in blog serializer. And for blog view set, it defines how the user can access the data in your databases. For example, here, the query set lists all the blog instances. Means if the user want to request blogs data, the server gonna return all the blogs data stored in the databases. It's quite straightforward in our case, but if in some special case, for example, you want to access the user account, you don't want user 2 to access the information of user 1. So in this case, you have to limit the permissions of the request. We're gonna maybe have some codes related to it later. Right now, let's move on to the router. Oh, wait, I haven't copied it in my code. Okay, and copy them. We probably need some important sentences. But let me see if I remember them. Why the format is always gone? And from REST framework, imports serializers and view sets. And also from the models file, which means in same directory, we have the models file, and import the block model. And that's all. Yes, looks nice. And we already have it done, but before we can access it, we have defined the router. The router, is quite an easy way for us to access the API. It could be really well designed. For the simple router we're gonna use today, you can say here, for the prefix we define could be blocks. For blocks, we have two methods available. If you directly get the URL, you're gonna get a list of the blocks. If you post to the URL, you're gonna create a new data instance for block. And for some URL path, because here we won't define any special URL path. So for this style, we won't use it. But for some lookup, means we have tons of block data and you want to look up one of them, you can use the lookup URL to check them out. Okay, maybe I should show some cases. Because we haven't defined the router here, we can use the demo page to check them out. Here we go. To type in blocks, we're gonna have a list of the block data, but right now we only have one block data. So perhaps I should create more data, so it's a good demonstration. Block object, block 2, a long article, save and continue. Add new one. Block 3, another article. Use another author. Block 4, another.
Very long article.
Yeah, I just want more instances.
Mm.
Here we go. We have all the data listed here with the prefix of the router. It looks good. And for the lookup, we can directly put the ID number following the blocks. We can try, for example, we want to access the block data for the third block. Here we go. We're gonna return a JSON object. And if we wanna create some block or change some block, we will use some other method. Could be put, patch, or delete, or post. But for that method, we have to have the authorization code. So to demonstrate it, we have to use the API tester. We can try them here. For example, if right now you're not logging as a user, you directly post a block, a title, content, title, content. Oh, wait, it will raise an exception. Yeah, it's just some showcase. Right now, let's try to implement them. Continue to the router, copy the code. I like copy and paste. It will avoid errors. Copy the code and reformat them. And for the router, I don't remember where I import the router. Let me check them out. Okay, from REST framework, import routers. And also we need the block view set from blocks.views import block view set. It should work. Let's see. What else we should figure out? Nothing. Nice. Let's try it out with our local application, because just now we only play around with the demo site. It's not quite good. Python manage.py. Oh. I think there are some typos. Let's try to figure them out. No module names, REST framework blocks. Where I type this? Let's search it. Routers, blocks. Okay, let's read the arrows carefully. I don't think there are any arrows. From REST framework, blocks. No module names. It's quite strange, isn't it? For the router, for the Restful framework, for the serializer, could be some cache arrows. Yeah, it's every time we will encounter some strange arrows, and hope I can figure them out.
Is it maybe in the settings?
Yeah. Oh, got it. Yeah,
Yes.
why directly tell me there's some syntax error?
I need to look at the other pages first.
Yeah, thank you for reminding. Okay, and also we need to include the include in the URL. It should be in here. Okay, now it works. Let's try them out. Localhost blocks. Right. It's already here, and try to retrieve the single instance. It works. And we can also, can we? No, we can't, because in this interface, we haven't logged in. So if I try to modify the content of the block, well, it actually works. Okay, why? Because currently we didn't limit the permissions of the view sets. What are we gonna do next? It's called access control. So it doesn't make any sense if anyone can modify the any block data, just like just now what we should. We want something that's only the user, only the author of the block have the permissions to change the block data. So what we're gonna define now is called permission. And permission is also some classes from the REST framework. So that's why I said it's really good to use. To just directly copy it, we have the code here. What's the code mean? Is it straightforward? Like in the code, it has two functions you can override. One of them is called has permission. Means if you has permission to access the list API, but we don't consider it right now. We only consider if the user have the permissions to access the blog instance. So we only override the function. And if the request method means the HTTP method, we have put and post, get, etc. And what can be regarded as safe method is the method that won't create any modification of the data. They are get method, head method, and option method. And some unsafe method, for example, the put, delete, and patch, they are banned here if the methods are unsafe, and it's only allowed to do the method if the user is actually the author. Yeah, good. And also we need to import the permissions. Good. And to apply the permission, we need to add a variable called permission classes in the view set. Here we go. It should work now. Nice. It looks good. And that's all. But before we finish everything, I want to give you some challenges to figure out how can you change a code to fulfill your own needs. Okay. For the code, the structure of the data. Here actually you can see the ID, you can see the author, and created time, whatever. But what we want is another new content in the blog is the username of the author, because for front end, when it retrieves the data, it will show all the data in a web page. It's really not good if you show the author as a number. The user won't know what does a number mean. Actually, a number is the ID of the author because it's a foreign key here. So what I want you to do is try to add one more content here. It's called author username, to show the username of author so that the front end can directly show it somewhere in the blog. Yeah, is it a challenge? I don't know, because I didn't mention the how we can do it before, but I mentioned that we can maybe edit the serializer a little bit to change the process, how we create the data and how we show data. Actually, there are another two challenges. A second challenge is here is how we create the data, because ideally we want the creation process to be like we only need to put the content and the title of the blog to the API so that we can create a blog, and the blog author will be automatically assigned to the authenticated user. But now we don't have the logics about it. So I want you to try to find some way to solve it. So you can actually try something. I'm gonna type them in the chat. And one more property in the return data. Second is assign the author to the authenticated user automatically when in creation. Yep, But I don't know if you are like you have the code to try them out, because I don't know which steps are you currently. Anyone are able to do them? People are gone.
Maybe you can guide us, I guess.
Haven't fixed the code yet. That's fine. Which steps are you currently at?
I've just been listening for the most, just trying to get an understanding. Yeah, some of these stuff is familiar to me from my work, and it's a good thing about this GVT. We had some problems with that at my job.
Okay. And if no one is able to, able to create by themselves, we're gonna do them together, because the code's already available online. So I want some mid to intermediate code. I'm gonna use it as some demo things. Okay, so for the first question, add one more property in the return data. As we said before, what we're gonna do is something with a block serializer. Okay, open my cheating code. To add the author username, we will use something nice, because the username is actually the character field. So we use character field here. It's quite similar to the models as we defined before, but it's for serializing data. And source is what we're gonna use to assign the username of the author to this property, author username. Yep, it's really simple if we know how to implement it. But if we don't know, we had to check out tons of documents to figure it out. And we also want it to be read-only, because it shouldn't be allowed to modify it by the user. It should be something assigned automatically. And errors. It's really nice. It's hard reloading. Nice. And we can check out the data here to see if this works. There we go. We have the username already here. And the second challenge is like assign the author to authenticate the user automatically. What does it mean? We could try it for the current version. If we want to post a new block, we will use a post method. And we already try, like if we haven't used any authorization, we're gonna got an error. So if we actually use authorization, okay, it's I need to access new token. Copy it. And copy the token here. Yeah, it returned some server error, because the content we post only have the content property and the title property. But for the blog, we also need the author property, which is not assigned. So what we want to do is when we post a data structure like this, we will assign the user we authenticated to be the author of the created block. That's the goal of the second challenge. I don't know if you understand it before, but let's try to implement it right now. Block serializer, we can override tons of function inside it. We have like create function, blah, blah, blah. And we can also have some delete. Do we have delete? I'm not sure, but we absolutely have update function and some other functions. But right now I will use the create function, and we have some parameters. Validated data. And in the create function, we already have the validated data, but how we can access the user that logged in, we will use a variable called context. Okay, self context and access the request data. I hope it's correct. Yeah, and given the request, we can access the user that's logged in the request. Get attribute request user. If there is no user in the request, we're gonna return none. So if the user is none, or how can I write it? Or the user is not authenticated, we're gonna raise the exception. Serializer. I'm poor. Serializer. What? Validation error. Validation error. Like only the authors is allowed to. No. Here, only the login the user is allowed to create block. Nice. And if the user is actually logged in, we will put the user data into the validated data is user. Nice. And then we can create the blocks. Okay, it's quite long code. I hope there's no error. Let's try it. Blocks. Yeah, just now we have a server error here, but now let's see. It succeeds. You can see the author here is actually me. If I log in with another user, let's say we log in as admin. And post another block content from admin. You can see, yeah, the user, no, the author here is the admin. Good? Is that good for you? Nice.
Yes, thanks.
And yeah, that's all from today's session. Yeah. And we also, yeah, as we said at the beginning, we have the demo site online. And if you can't figure out your own code, you can try them out from the demo site. And we have the available users with the username and password. And please don't delete my admin user, even though I know how to restore it, but I don't wanna, yeah, restore the broken database. So please protect them.
Nice.
And yeah, and also have the authorization is quite a nice paper because it's practical. It's not about the like theoretical concepts for the authorization. It's some practical article like how you can use the Postman to access different API with different authorization methods. Yeah, you can check them out. Nice. Any questions yet?
Oh, no question from me anyway. So maybe I can also use this time to point out that we have a Discord channel for web dev. So if anyone has any question, you can just drop it there and you definitely get a reply from someone.
Okay, nice. And yeah, for the next session, we're gonna talk about the front end. Yeah, maybe in React. I'm not sure. And if there's some additional information like some installation you need to do before we start the session, we're gonna have some announcement in the Discord chat. Okay, good. And thank you guys and enjoy your Christmas.
Thank you.
Good.
And next section is next week. So maybe see everyone there.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Have a nice week.
Bye-bye.